Hello, Sunlit. It's Friday, and that means we've made it through another week. Today, we are going to talk about the role of influencers in the world to represent smaller cultures and languages. And today, with us, we have a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. It's your Irregular Latvian, Anete. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on our show. We are very happy to have you because we always wanted to talk to a person that really represents Latvia and Latvian culture and especially our language, since we have less than 2 million speakers. So we wanted to see what you think. So I've already probably said what you do, but would you like to explain yourself, what you do?
Sure. So I run a YouTube channel called Irregular Latvian, on which I make videos explaining the language, but not in the kind of typical way you would think language tutorials go. I really try to include a lot of culture and a lot of Latvian specific quirks in my videos in order to make it more entertainment than educational. And I talk about language and also our traditions.
Yes, I've seen some of your videos, and I've seen they sometimes pop into my recommended feed, which is sometimes like it's like a nice break from all the serious stuff I watch. But the real story is how did you decide to start your channel? Like, what is the story behind it?
Well, the beginning was really not with some kind of a grand purpose. I guess on a personal level, I've always wanted to do YouTube. I'm one of those people who grew up watching Shane Dawson and Jenna Marbles and thinking, oh my God, what a life they must have. But the first Latvian alphabet videos, which were the ones that kind of like my breakout videos, it happened as I was living in Glasgow last year in May, writing my dissertation. I was under a lot of pressure to finish my year, like my whole university career. And I needed an outlet. And so one day I just kind of woke up having dreamt that these videos already existed. I thought it was what an amazing idea. That would be such a great way to explain Latvian culture. And so I did it. And then the feedback that I got was so amazing, and it inspired me to continue. And now, as I have done already so many videos, I know what the purpose of the channel is, and that is to, it's multifold. For people who are Latvians living abroad, is to have videos to show to their non-Latvian friends and partners, somehow to include them in our culture. And then also for people who are expatriates or children of people who went into exile during the war. It's a very, very, I didn't think that would happen, but I'm so glad that they found me and I got to connect to them. And they say that the videos are helping them reconnect with the Latvian side. And I mean, oh my God, that is an amazing thing, like an amazing reason for me to do what I do.
So your channel was literally a dream come true.
Yes.
That sounds like it, because I haven't heard of any other channel about Latvia/Latvians who connect other people from exile, for example. That is interesting. How you with modern technology and social media help people to learn about Latvian language, and probably reconnect some lost souls. And it's
yes, well, I think a big part of why that has went in that way and how I found my audience is that I just kind of felt that it would be a smart move to reach out to Facebook groups of Latvians abroad, and I'm really happy that they took me in, because I applied for everything: Latvians living in Norway, Latvians living in Sweden, in Australia, in the US, and usually they accept people who actually live there. But they took me in as well, so thanks to them as well.
Yeah. Right now, where do you live? You mentioned something before that you lived in Glasgow, but where do you live right now?
I'm in Strasbourg, France, right next to the German border, which is closed.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And have you showed your channel or videos to the people around you?
Yes, I actually work in a radio station. I volunteer here in a Christian French radio station, and they've been existing for a long time. And they also have like a YouTube channel, and so they're trying to kind of up their media game a little bit. And everybody's just like, oh, how are you doing it? Why is your channel like so popular compared to what they have? And but I don't know. I told them about my spamming strategy, but I don't think that they will adopt it. But when they watch my videos, sometimes they laugh about it. But they're not really that into Latvian.
Well, to each their own, as they say. But
although there is a Latvian community here though in Strasbourg, and they are really supportive. Yes, and there's also a choir which I am a part of.
That's cool. That's actually pretty cool, as you can in a way bring communities together, as you said before, because a lot of Latvians in different countries, they feel left alone, like they're lost, and maybe your channel really brings some hope, like that ray of sunshine into their grey dark lives, or their happy lives even.
I really hope so. I do know what it's like to feel really like not being able to integrate a culture.
Okay.
It is tough, especially the first month living in a country.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Emils can actually vouch for that. You've been to the US, right?
Yeah.
For a long time, so that's life. But on something less serious, maybe hopefully less serious, what are some things people ask? Maybe some strange questions that to us Latvians would be in a way like obvious, but to foreigners it's not so obvious. Maybe some maybe some funny questions or something like that. What do people ask you?
Just for an example, I came up with this question because when I was in the US, people would ask all kinds of strange things like, do we use toilets, and do we use shovel? Do you use shovel or something else? So yeah. What do you get something in your interesting in your comment section sometimes?
Well, not in my comment section. These kind of sound more like questions I get asked in real life. But in my comment section, it very, very often there's, how do I seduce a Latvian girl? How can I impress a Latvian girl? It seems like the Latvian girl is like an ultimate goal for seduction. But no, seriously though, the most strange things that I find is that sometimes in my videos I somewhat exaggerate. That's my style. I talk about for the Christmas traditions in Latvia, and basically we just come to the house and we go straight to the table, and then we eat until we cannot eat anymore, and then we drink until we fall, and then we sing. And so I think that I don't expect ever that people would actually go to my comments and say, oh my god, yes, what a funny story. I'm from the UK, and I went to visit my Latvian girlfriend in Latvia, and it's exactly like you said. Her family didn't speak English at all, so basically they just said labdien, and we went to eat until and we ate the whole night, and then her dad brought out his homemade wine, and then we were singing by the end of it, and even I, who doesn't speak Latvian, was singing Latvian songs. Like that, when people just say that these exaggerated kind of traditions, stereotypical situations happen to them, I think that that's really funny and cool.
No, that really sounds like in a way your channel is not only you make other people think these things, but you get amused by people who believe these things, right? In a way, you some people might be gullible because they don't know.
I love my comments. My comments are so amusing. Sometimes people just start having random conversations about beer quality in Europe, and then the Latvians would go like, "It's us," and then there was no, I've also tried German beer. It's also good. And then the Czech people would come in like, "No, it's us." So
yes, But are there any bad things people say?
About Latvia specifically, I don't know. I guess maybe sometimes like that people are cold, that the people have had not really great experiences in Latvia, but that actually more the majority of comments is that they've actually had really nice experiences in Latvia and that people are really friendly, and the fact that we're cold is somewhat of a stereotype. But I guess, you know, those people who have had the cold Latvian deaths there, you know, then that's maybe sad that it has come true for them.
Well, I mean, I've heard. I have a funny story around this topic actually. So when we were at the State Department last February, we had one of the chief executives that works with the Baltic states and all diplomatic notions, etc. And what she said is that we really like to advertise the idea that we're like cold and introverted, etc., but that it's actually not true, because literally what other nation has a dance festival every 4 years and jumps over a fire in the mid-solstice festival. So yeah.
Yeah, true. I mean, I read some kind of like a book about Latvian archaeology and like ancient history, and according to some chronicles of I forget who, some like Christian dudes in the Middle Ages, at first Latvians were such a friendly nation that when the first Christian people came, they were just like, oh my God, yes, please come to my house. And they would feed you until they have no more food. And then they would send you to your neighbor and he would feed you. And so they were really, really hospitable people. And so these people who came, they were like, oh, dope. Nice land you have here. Went back home and came back with an army. And so since then, the Latvians are kind of like not that hospitable anymore.
Well,
in theory.
If we talk about hospitality, if people say Latvia is a cold country, everyone's antisocial, during these times when everything's cold, you want to stay at home, and when everyone's antisocial, you don't really have to keep a 2-meter distance because everybody already kept a 2-meter distance. I don't see where people see these negative things.
Yeah, true.
But in reality, Latvian weather is actually very like every day you flip a coin, whether it's warm or cold, even during the winter. At the moment.
Oh yeah, especially in the last years. I remember when we had snow.
Yes, and if anybody believes global warming is a hoax, last few winters we've had no snow. But when I was a kid, I remember thick snow. It was minus 20 degrees. You have to go to school. Mom said you have to go to school. Nowadays, when it's 5 degrees, like minus 5 or 0, I don't want to leave the house.
Yeah, and I always used to think that we're Latvians are really tough because at minus 25 degrees, then we don't go to school. But then I went to Canada on exchange, and they're like, what? At minus 20 degrees? No, you go. As long as you can open the door because there is not a pile of snow, you'll go to school.
Awesome.
All right. Moving on, I guess, to the next topic.
Okay.
So you represent our country, which is relatively small. So there is a small audience, and Latvia isn't really popular, and there are not a lot of people who are interested in it. So, what are some ways you promote your channel, or what are some topics you cover, or gags that are prevalent in your content?
Okay, so I do know that my audience is mostly not Latvian speaking, which means that when I make my videos, a lot of script writing goes into them. I really, really try to write my scripts in a way that it would be flowing, and the hardest part is that sometimes I really want to include a joke or include a word or some kind of thing, but I know that if I start explaining it too much, I will just lose people because they don't have so much attention or they don't have the cultural context to get it. So my process of creating videos is trying to find things that are Latvian enough so that the Latvian watching would go like, oh my God, that's me. And the English or the English speaking person watching would still be able to get. And unfortunately, it means that, I cannot really go into so much details. And people have been asking me to talk about some specific events or historic events or books. And I would love to do that. It's just that I really have to find a way to not turn it into a lecture, because my videos are supposed to be entertainment first.
Sorry, I interrupted. Sorry.
Yeah, and so I was saying, yes, and then I promote them in the Facebook groups, and also now I have created a Facebook page finally, because before I used to just post them on my personal Facebook, and that is not ideal anymore as the audience is growing. But what else? Because I like to play around with video and editing, I also sometimes I try to always figure out some new ways to make it more interesting through sound, or my very, very artistic illustrations, which I draw.
Oh, that's cool.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So,
but one question quickly: does oversimplification hurt the perception of our culture? And if anybody did any about, for example, if Estonians or Russians did something similar, does the oversimplification hurt people's perception of Latvians, or you don't think so?
I don't know. Listen, I mean, I know that for a lot of people, I might be the only person that they know from Latvia, and that I represent to them the entirety of the country, which I feel is a huge responsibility. And so I often, when I write, for example, I write jokes in my scripts, and sometimes I just go over them and I think, can I say that? Not because I'm trying to censor myself, but it's just because I don't want to give a wrong impression. But at the same time, I also don't want to somehow water down my content to the typical tourist guide. I still want to give some kind of personal opinion and some kind of Latvian salt to what is going on. And so I think that, I guess it depends on the Estonian or Russian making, it depends on the guy. It depends on whether he's knowledgeable about Latvia, whether he cares about Latvia, whether he has experience explaining Latvia to other people. And I don't think that nationality should define whether you can create good content. It's just, I feel the responsibility, and hopefully the person who also wants to make content will also realize that it might seem not evident that you will be the only person representing your country. It's kind of like you're a diplomat, without being elected.
True.
Like you are a diplomat to the masses, trying to communicate something.
Yes, and also to yourself in the future, because I always pay attention also to not in the 20 years look back and see, oh my God.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you for doing this.
We have some comments and questions. So I'm just gonna call out some nice comments for Anete, because there are some people saying nice stuff. So we have Robert White saying, I have watched lots of Anete's videos and they have helped me understand the country in which I now live. Thank you, Robert White. And he's also asking, how often do you get back to Latvia, Anete?
Not very often, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. I was supposed to go in June. That's probably not going to happen now. But yes, I have some part of my family and a lot of friends in Latvia, so once or twice a year.
And Anita Patterson also says, Anete, we love your videos. My daughter and I are Latvians, diaspora, who have recently returned home to Latvia with limited language skills and found your channel to be entertaining and useful.
Thank you.
So that's nice. Thank you, guys. Okay. I guess we're moving on to our next topic, going in a bigger scale. So we see all these kinds of international YouTubers representing their countries, cross-cultural kind of being almost like diplomats. This is what we were leading on to. So, in your opinion, what kind of effect do YouTubers and influencers of representing countries like Spain, France, have on cross-cultural and people-to-people relations? So, how does your representation of Latvia influence how people understand Latvia on a bigger scale internationally?
Okay, that's quite a loaded question. Okay, so first I think that it's really, really great that there are people who are cultural influencers, I'd like to call them. I think it's very, very useful for the country to have people who are giving a different opinion or a different kind of angle from that which you can read on Wikipedia or in the national news. Why I think it's great also is maybe not exactly amazing for Latvia, but amazing for humanity, because it really does, having a channel and having an audience grow around you, and they are interacting with each other in the comments about the topics that you put out, but also bringing their own perspective. It kind of creates this huge bubble, like a cross-section of society and like a melting pot of cultures. And it's a kind of a unique, it's a unique thing to have so many people from all over the place with so many different backstories sharing their experiences and talking about how they perceive your country. I think in like a couple of years' time, for example, if all of my channel's conversations of the commenters would be lifted out, there would be some really nice material about how Latvian diaspora has lived abroad, and also how the children of exiled Latvians have tried to keep in touch with their Latvian side. It's also a nice way for like Latvians from different kind of places in the world to connect. So I think it has a huge influence. And also I think that I don't really watch a lot of cultural influencers, but I do watch one girl here in France who's from New Zealand. And as a Latvian trying to integrate French culture, I find her videos so useful, because she's also an outsider who has lived here for a couple of years. So I really relate to the things that shocked her at first, or that she loved at first, or that she found really, really difficult. And so I think that that's also really nice to have a kind of guidance, a different type of guidance that you would get, again, from like a more official structure.
I was gonna ask quickly. This is more of a personal question. Just a quick side note. You were talking about like when people arrive in a new country and how they start to see things, how it influences them. So when you move to a new country and start living there, and I'm talking this from a personal experience, do you feel like the grass is greener and everything is so nice and everything is so perfect in the first month?
No, I don't know. Maybe a little bit, but not too much. Mostly I find, like, for me, usually when I move abroad, it all starts with horrible bureaucracy of trying to be settled, finding a flat. So the first months are actually the most difficult, because you always think, oh my God, it would be so much simpler in Latvia. But after a while, I think you kind of see benefits and also disadvantages to living in different countries, because there always are, even on like very personal levels, like rye bread, it doesn't exist much else apart from Latvia and European, like Eastern European countries. And thankfully they have it in Germany, which is like a tram ride away for me. But when I was in Canada, it was
Yeah.
So yeah.
I get you. It was one of the things I missed in America. Sorry, Ivars, I interrupted you.
No, it's alright because I want to just add a comment. In a way, like you will never personally feel what your channel, like what kind of an influence your channel has. You'll only hear from people who are influenced by your channel. And right now, you're in France. You are listening to this amazing girl talk about France, and you're feeling what some people in the comments said on our live show. They said that thanks to you, they feel more comfortable here in Latvia, and like that's the kind of influence you are, like.
Okay. Also, yeah. I mean, as I was responding to this question, I was thinking kind of more in like a general sense for Latvia as a country, or for the world, or intercultural relations. But of course, for my audience, I think, well, at least from what they tell me, it's been a huge influence, and a very positive one. And like, I wrote out some comments. Because I get so many really nice comments, and so I wanted just to share some examples. There's people who just say that they learn things about Latvia, which is already great, because some people just say like, oh my God, I just decided that I would like to go visit Latvia. That's amazing, and I'm really happy to have been able to show the country in such a nice way. But then there are some, like one person, Kukukachu, wrote that his Latvian girlfriend used to call herself his favorite Latvian hamster. And then when I did a video on nicknames, I was just messing around with different animal-inspired nicknames that you can give. And then he surprised his girlfriend by calling her Kami. This.
No, that's cute. That's just cute.
So cute. And then other people also from whose parents were Latvians. I just love it when they share stories. Like there's a man from the UK whose parents were from Riga and who really liked and related to the debesman video where I showed how to make debesman. I was like, oh my God, we used to do it as a child. And he also thanked me for reminding him his long forgotten Latvian, because he was fluent when he was 5, but then he stopped talking and then he kind of forgot it. And some other people like Stefan from the US, who was really happy when I showed him how to color eggs, because it reminded him of his Latvian grandma, who was like 86 and still coloring eggs with onion skins. Or Felix from New York, whose parents were Latvian. He like my video on Christmas inspired him to like share how he used to celebrate Christmas and Jāņi with the Latvian community in New York. These are stories that are so amazing to know, as a Latvian, like for me, it really gives purpose to what I do, I feel like.
Yeah. And I feel like we here in Latvia sometimes take these things for granted in a way.
Yes.
That really hits like this is the shot of reality that we're getting right now. But we're slowly moving to the end, unfortunately. And of course, every single episode we try to fit a segment of Corona and stuff like that. But today you are going to be part of a race against time.
Okay.
You have 1 minute to talk about Corona, and the time starts now.
It is very difficult. I hope it will go away soon. I've had so much time alone in my house. It's nice to read books, but I want to go outside. And you guys are lucky in Latvia, because you at least get to have parties of 25 people. We get to go to work and back home. So, and also, of course, my thoughts go out to everybody affected. It is not just my first world problems that are horrible, but it's also, I mean, honestly, it's been so horrible here in France. I'm really happy that in Latvia it hasn't had such a huge impact. Here in France, it's been completely crazy in building hospitals and fields.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully it will be better soon.
Yeah, hopefully. 44.5 seconds. Amazing. Thank you. So, like an ending question, which we really wanted to ask you. So, what are your plans for the future, for the channel, and in general for your life, in a way?
Okay. for my channel, I would like to continue making videos and possibly move into some more specific topics. Like I would like to do film reviews. I think that would be so great, and things like that. But I just know that it's a lot of work, but I'm going there. Then, in a big scale of what my Irregular Latvian could maybe influence, I would love to make Latvian culture more accessible to people who don't speak Latvian, which means translating movies, translating books, or at least giving people access to watch things, or things like cartoons. We have so many amazing cartoons for adults, who are just not accessible, nowhere to be found, and I think that's such a shame, and that should be made more accessible. And in my life, once they let us out of quarantine, I'll go to work, and then hopefully still have time to make videos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey.
Quickly, one idea. Do you know what is Sviesta kino?
Yes.
Similar like that. I think people who don't understand Latvian tropes and Latvian ideas from other countries would really appreciate something like this, but in English, and more PG in a way.
Yeah, I know. I thought about, actually, when I was I read Maniac while in quarantine, and I thought that it would be a great first kind of book to introduce, and then I watched the Sviesta kino version, and I laughed so hard. For anybody who doesn't know, it's 1 to 2 minute videos explaining Latvian books or movies, but in a very sometimes rude and mostly very simple way.
Yeah. Anyways, if Emils, do you have any closing remarks or questions you would like to ask our guest?
Nope, it's all good for me. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It has been the Sunlit Era, and thank you for watching. See you next week.